Hello, I'm Shoestring Jane and welcome back to my channel. If you like to hear about all things frugal and thrifty, then please do subscribe, as I do produce quite a lot of this kind of content. And today I thought I would talk about being frugal and how you don't need to feel deprived. So it's really easy to kind of feel that you're missing out on something when you have to save money or you decide to be a bit more frugal for whatever reason. So it may be that you really have to, that you just can't survive on the money you've got unless you really manage every penny. It may be that you're saving towards a particular goal. Maybe you're saving for a house mortgage or a wedding or a holiday or something like that. Or maybe you're just paying off debt. So whatever the reason, sometimes we do need to adopt a frugal lifestyle. And you don't have to feel deprived. I mean, we live very frugally. We don't do anything that costs a lot of money, but we really don't feel deprived and we feel like we have a really nice life. So we do save money where we can so that we can do some things that might cost a little bit more, like have a holiday. I mean, I choose to live frugally so that I could get rid of my 9-to-5 job and I don't have to be a wage slave. And it does mean that I earn a bit less, but I can choose to do what I want to do with my time. I can earn money the way I want to earn money. I can work from home. I can have a dog now. I have a lot more time to do what I want to do, like see my parents and just be a bit more flexible, really. I wouldn't have been able to do that, take them to all the hospital appointments and things like that, if I was still working for the local council, which is what I used to do. But, you know, it can also feel like a slog being very frugal and trying to save money all the time. And I think part of that is developing a kind of attitude towards frugality where you see it as a challenge and almost a hobby, really, just to see how much money you could save. It's really quite satisfying if you once you realise that, say, you know, you want to redo your kitchen. You know, you could look at least £10,000 to redo a kitchen from start to finish. So maybe you look at a slightly more frugal way to do it. So you might find some second-hand cupboard fronts, or you might even buy new cupboard fronts, or new doors and things and drawers, but that would be cheaper than replacing the whole kitchen. And somebody in my Facebook group, they did their kitchen completely freestanding. They just got big old pine dressers and bits of furniture and just made it freestanding and slotted it all around. They did the floor with some offcuts of wood and made a really beautiful oak floor from bits of wood that would have been thrown away. They were just very creative. So, you know, if you see it as a challenge, it can actually be quite fun to do it, and you really embrace it. That's the thing, is your mindset. Just think about, I'm really embracing this as a lifestyle choice, and then you don't necessarily feel so deprived, and you find different ways of doing things. So I would say, if you see being frugal as a way to use your creativity and your ingenuity, it can be very satisfying. You can still enjoy the things that you do now, you just might do them in a different way. So I'm going to suggest some kind of different ways of doing things that you might do regularly now that might cost you a lot of money. So the first one is holidays. That's always the thing I hear people say, oh, we can't afford a holiday this year, we're cutting back. And as I say, we live really frugally so that we can still go on the odd holiday. We don't do expensive holidays. You wouldn't see us on a 10 grand cruise or anything like that. We very rarely even do a kind of package deal. We tend to just look out of the box, really. So we've done things like house swapping. We've had people from France come and we've gone to France to theirs. You could do house swapping with friends you have or family members that you have. If they live in a nice area, maybe just, even if they don't, just a different area, just swap houses for a week or two. And then the advantage of that as well is if you have cats or other animals, they can feed them and look after them as well. You could do things like that. You could do house sitting. There are organisations that actually will employ you to go and look after somebody's house. Sometimes they're pets as well. But you could do that informally as well. So just with friends, if you know they live in a good area, you know they're going on holiday, you could offer to look after their house and their animals for them while they're gone. We've done that with some friends, and they were only in the same town as us, but they were going away. They had 2 dogs. We didn't have Archie at the time. And we went to look after their dogs. It was just a change of scenery, and they had a lovely house as well, which should help. So do things like that. It's just being creative. My kids used to love camping when they were small. We liked camping for a bit. I think the older we've got, the less we've enjoyed camping. And if we had a camper van, that would make life a lot easier. But I think if you're fairly young, camping's a really, really cheap holiday. You don't have to go far away. I mean, where we are, we've got Suffolk just up the road, and there's Rendlesham Forest. I think I've mentioned that before. Rendlesham Forest is lovely, and they've got a really gorgeous little campsite. It's very, it's nothing special there. It's not fancy or anything, but it's just lovely. And we had a couple of really nice short breaks there. It was really lovely. It's right in the middle of the forest. There's so much nature, glowworms, all sorts. We've seen everything there. And so you could do other things. Just think out of the box, and you can still go on holiday maybe, but just a really cheap one. The other thing is hair and beauty treatments. If you spend a lot on that kind of thing, then you can save a lot of money by finding a student. I'm about to book, because my hair really needs a cut, I'm about to book the local hairdressing college, so they will do my hair, a cut and blow dry for £7.50. I mean, there's no way you could get it as cheap as that anywhere else. They also do a range of treatments. They do massage, they do eyebrow plucking and waxing, they do waxing everywhere else, they do facials, all sorts of things. Anything you would expect them to do in a beautician's, they will do there, but at a fraction of the price. And okay, you've got a student, so it may be that it's not quite as perfect as you would have had it, but for hair particularly, the tutors are very, very attentive, and they really watch. And if they make any mistakes, they sort them out for you. So, but I think with hair like mine, because it's just long and layered, it's very easy to cut anyway. So I never really have a problem. It takes longer. It does take longer than it would at hairdressers. So if you're short of time, it's perhaps not the best idea. But if you've got a bit of time and you can go and just read a magazine or something while they're doing your hair, you will save yourself a lot of money, and you don't have to feel deprived, and you don't have to miss out on those. The other thing that I know a lot of people like is a regular takeaway, and we used to be bad for that. And in my youth, I used to get takeaways all the time, just constantly, because I could afford it. I'd been at work all day, and I thought, I just can't be bothered to cook, so a takeaway was a good thing. However, now I cannot afford regular takeaways, but very occasionally we'll have one. Or the other night we didn't want to spend a lot of money. I didn't feel great still. I was still like recovering from COVID. I still am really. And all I fancied was a chicken curry. But we didn't want to go and spend a lot of money at the Indian takeaway. So Justin went into Asda and picked up I think it was an Indian meal for two. It had one rice, a couple of poppadoms, a couple of naan breads, a korma, and another one, jalfrezi or something, another curry. And it was really nice. It was £7.99. So, we're not really breaking the bank by having that kind of takeaway. So you could think about things like that, or, buying a ready meal. I'm not really a big fan of ready meals, but, it's the same sort of thing, isn't it? You could get a Chinese or a curry or whatever you want in that form. I wouldn't do that very often either, but, if you're feeling really deprived and you want your takeaway, then that's the way to go. So just socialising and parties with people. When we're quite boring these days, we don't do a lot really, but we used to go to the pub a lot, and we used to meet people. And you could still meet people. So you could have a barbecue in your garden and just say to everybody, could you each bring something to go on the barbecue, and we'll make the salads, or could you bring a bottle and we'll provide the soft drinks, or something like that. You can have a potluck supper. Well, that is a very American term, but you just each bring a dish and you just see what you end up with, and it's always really good. We used to do that at work, have a potluck lunch every now and then if we were celebrating something, and everybody would bring something in. It was always really great. So you can do that kind of thing. You could just meet people in the park, especially if you've got kids, meet for a game of rounders, take a flask, a picnic, whatever. You can still do things. There's lots of things you can do that won't break the bank. And if you eat out a lot and you like going to restaurants, that is really expensive. And it's something that I always feel, I hardly ever feel like I get a great meal. So I really resent having to pay a lot of money to go out to dinner. But we do it occasionally, again, just occasionally. Why not? We did it for my birthday. We went to London. But what you can do is sign up for a mystery shopping site. There are a few that seem to focus quite a lot on eating out. You can do all sorts of things. I did one where I had to go and open an account in Lloyd's. It was a while ago. I had to go and open an account, see what the or did I have to put a check in? I had to do so. I can't remember what I had to do now, but they basically paid me £10, and I was in town anyway. So you can do things like that, but you can do it for eating out. So if you just do a Google, and you'll find out the ones that do regular eating out. You quite often have to pay for your meal in advance, and then you perhaps will only be covered for the main course and a drink or something like that. So if you choose to buy something else, you have to pay for that yourself, and you just have to do a little report, and you give them your receipts, and then they will give you some money, or they'll just give you the free meal. So it's worth considering doing something like that. I haven't actually done that myself, but I do know people who have and do it regularly. I was really stunned recently to discover that if you wanted to go to Alton Towers, it would cost you £65 per person. So if you've got, I don't know, 3 or 4 kids and there's 2 of you and you want to go to Alton Towers, that's going to be massively expensive. I'm sure other theme parks are a similar cost, and that's so expensive. So, but you can do lots of free things with your kids. And then lots of people have parks and woodlands and open areas that they very rarely explore with their children. And it just sounds cheesy, but sometimes simple things are the best things in life are free. You can really enjoy, especially with small kids, running around the woods, tell them to find different things, find a certain type of leaf, find a stone, find a stick. Kids love that kind of thing, and they let off steam. They really enjoy it. It costs you literally nothing. You can take a picnic again, a few snacks, some drinks. And okay, it's not a theme park, but they probably wouldn't mind. Most kids will just enjoy whatever you do with them together. So you can also do things like geocaching. There's a site, if you just Google geocaching, you can find out, you can get an app on your phone and you can just go around, it's like a treasure hunt really, with your kids or just you, and you have to use coordinates on the app to try and find the little box full of nothing really. Normally it's just a little report book and you can just write your name in it, but sometimes people leave little things in their little trinkets that you can take, and you can leave them one as well. And the kids love that sort of thing. So geocaching is free. Most of the apps are free. You might have to pay for an app. Like, do your own treasure hunt in the woods, just hide some things, or just treasure hunt in the garden. It's good fun. You don't only have to do that at Easter, do you? And cheap things to keep your kids occupied in the holidays, just a bag of sand and a sandbox. That's just kept ours going for ages. Water. I went to a boot sale and I found this kind of, I don't know what I think it was Early Learning Centre. It was just these little things that kind of linked to each other, and you poured water in one end and it kind of gradually went down. And honestly, it cost me something like £2. It was a long time ago, obviously, but my kids loved that and they played with that for hours. But it doesn't even have to be as exciting as that. Give them a watering can, get them to water the garden. They love that kind of thing. We used to get ours to pretend to wash the patio with a watering can and a broom, and they loved that. Again, it's strange, isn't it? But kids just like your time and attention really. But you can do things with them, like I went to charity shops and boot sales and bought all sorts of weird sort of clothing and old negligees and things like that for dressing up. We had a great dressing up box. We've still got the remnants of it in the attic actually. I don't know what I'm keeping that for, but we had a great time with that. I used to have friends around that all dress up, and if we saw little sort of cheap proper dressing up outfits secondhand, we would buy those as well. But it didn't have to be anything very specific. You find funny old wigs and glasses and big old bras and things like that. I used to love that. Old shoes. So anything like that. They loved the dressing up box. We had a great craft box as well. I used to just keep bits of foil and cotton wool and old card, and we did buy glue and glitter and that kind of thing. If you buy glitter, make sure it's a plastic free variety. We'd never used to have that option, but you could do things like that. You don't have to spend a lot of money keeping the kids entertained. If you've got cinema, if you like going to the cinema, you can check out when they have cheap times. I don't know if they do it now, but our local Odeon used to do a Saturday morning kids club, and it wouldn't be the latest film, but it would be a film that they'd enjoy, and it cost £2 each, and it was great. And I know they still do cheap times, not just for kids, for adults as well. If you go during the day, I think our one on a Tuesday or a Wednesday is much, much cheaper to go. And I think it's normally £15 a ticket, so it's not cheap, is it? And then there's also, Netflix or that kind of thing. If you invest in that and watch your films on something like that, then you don't have to go out. But sometimes you like to go out, don't you? And if you love your designer clothing, you can buy nearly everything secondhand, and sometimes it will still cost a bit. So buy decent quality if you do, or any clothing. If you're a bit of a clothes horse and you like wearing really fashionable clothes, just have a look out for them secondhand or on sale. My youngest daughter, is quite good at this. She likes Topshop clothing. It fits her really well. She will often have a look and see what they've got. Keep a note of that very thing. Look for it on Vinted or eBay, or even then just look in their sales. And she'll very often get the thing she's wanted, but she'll wait and pay a fraction of the as new price, because Topshop's not cheap. I'm not sure if Topshop's even going anymore actually, but That's what she used to do. And then home decor. I mean, you might have seen my bedroom transformation. It ended up costing about £250. It wasn't very much, but it was pretty much transformed. You wouldn't have recognised the room at the end of it. You can get a lot of furniture and furnishings and things like curtains. I see curtains all the time for about £2 a pair. It's ridiculous. And tablecloths and cushions and all sorts of things, rugs. You can get all of these things secondhand, often in charity shops. Boot sales are good for that kind of thing. Ornaments as well, pictures. You can get all of that kind of thing secondhand. You don't have to buy new, and you save yourself an absolute fortune. And you can also save yourself money by just learning a few DIY skills, even just a bit of painting. For example, I painted all the furniture in the bedroom. I paint furniture quite often in the house, and it's just old furniture that we've got. I did an old garden bench as well. I think you might have seen that in a previous vlog as well. So you don't have to spend a lot of money. It's just looking out, being creative. And I mentioned that family before that did the freestanding kitchen. The other thing they did, which I was very impressed by, was they got lots of carpet samples. They're about this kind of big, aren't they? And they did their whole staircase in carpet samples, so it looked like a patchwork. I guess they must have had to glue them down to make them pretty safe. But I saw a picture of them and it looked really amazing. Quirky and interesting. So, that's what I'm saying. Just be creative with what you do, and you can save money and embrace frugality. And the other thing is day trips. We think, oh, I have to go for a day trip to, I've mentioned theme parks, or, have to do a big trip to the seaside or something like that. And the seaside's actually brilliant if you're local, if you're close to the seaside. But if you're not, it could be a bit expensive, and then you get there and you have to buy a bucket and spade and ice creams and all sorts of things. But if you explore your local area, you've quite often got a lot of things that you take for granted. You just pass, you don't even look, like free museums and even like quite cheap museums as well. I've mentioned parks and woods and that kind of thing before. There are quite often cheap attractions that you could do that, if you take a picnic and some snacks again, you'll just enjoy it. It's just really nice. You can just go and sit in a nice park somewhere. So, as I said before, sometimes the best things in life are free, but sometimes they're also cheap. And I think if you embrace frugality, if you really think about different ways of doing the things that you enjoy, you can still do them, save yourself a packet of money, and just enjoy your life. Because being frugal doesn't mean the end of your life, and it doesn't mean that you just sit at home doing nothing. So anyway, these are my tips for embracing frugality and not feeling deprived. If you like this sort of content, as I said at the beginning, don't forget to subscribe, give me the thumbs up, and if you turn on your notifications, you will know next time I publish something. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.